Okay, good morning. Hello, everyone. It's Sam with another Friday video for you. And my guest here, if you didn't know already, is author AJ Skelly, who I will tell you about in a minute. Hey, AJ, how's it going?
It's going well. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Good. Thank you for coming on. I'm glad to have you. We were just talking before we came on. It's been hard to schedule this one. It's just we all have busy schedules and families and lives too. So I'm glad we can make this work. AJ is a fantasy author with several books out, including a Magic Prep Academy series about, I guess, a school where they learn magic, and I believe a werewolf series also.
Yes.
And I'll let her tell you about those in a minute. The book we're focusing on today, well, we can talk about anything, but I know one of them is called Of Flame and Frost, and I kind of feature that in the event. But I'll let her tell you more about those in a minute. So I'm grateful to AJ to you for coming on and answering some of our questions. So as always, I have some questions prepared, but I also want to make this an interactive discussion. So if you're watching at home, if you're a reader, a writer, an aspiring author yourself, a friend of AJ's or a friend of mine, whatever, please post your questions in the chat too about reading, writing, fantasy, publishing, any of that, because we want to hear from you and we'll have a good discussion. Okay.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to it. So AJ, just for those who aren't familiar, can give us a quick overview of who you are, what are your major books or series that you've written, and just a 5 minute or less intro so people who don't know can hear more about you.
Sure. Well, my name is AJ Skelly. I am an author of to date paranormal and fantasy books. My first series is The Wolves of Rock Falls. My debut was First Shift. It came out 3 years ago next month, actually. There are four books in that series, five if you count the novella. Excuse me. And it took me 10 years to write the first one. Fortunately, it did not take me that long to write the other ones. But that series is completed. It's got all your happy werewolves and teenagers and very much young adult. There's angst, there's romance, there's um some fairly heavy themes that run throughout, but they're handled almost kind of in that fantastical concept or context rather of the paranormal setting. So they're maybe a little bit easier to digest, even though they're still there and still apparent. And then I also have the Magic Prep Academy book of Flame and Frost. There's also an anthology of short stories that go with it. There will be at least one more book in that. They're each standalone, but a Flame and Frost released earlier last year now because it's 2024, isn't it?
Yeah. Um,
And
I'm sorry about that too.
yeah, like I'm still writing 23. But that release as well. That one is fantasy rather than paranormal. But I am actually broaching the waters of writing without
Yeah.
any kind of fantasy or paranormal elements. So we'll see how that goes as well.
Okay. You said there's a new one without any fantasy or
There
paranormal.
is. It's going to come out in July. It is a 1985 murder mystery, but the title hasn't been revealed yet, but it'll be coming in July.
Okay. But you know what the title is probably. Is it just a secret? Yeah. Okay. 121. Okay, cool. So you have a few different interests. It sounds like you have your, magic, werewolves. I imagine that those are both kind of under the broad
They're
fantasy.
under the broad umbrella of fantasy, even though
They're
some are
more,
paranormal and some are,
but
we've got werewolves and then we've got dragons.
hey, 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 it's good to have, good to have variety. Yeah, we all, I'm glad you have different interests and different things you're working on. And then, I mean, again, the one that's coming out, it sounds like it's different from the rest. So that'll be
It
interesting.
is. It is. I've discovered I'm versatile in what I like to write. Unfortunately, with kind of like the rise of indie publishing, a lot of authors are doing a lot of different genres, without having to have 12 different pen names for each one. So that's kind of been a perk of all of that. I enjoy dabbling here and there. I always write young adult romance, kind of verging into new adult territory in terms of the age of the characters. All my books are at PG-13 or cleaner.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's what I like, but the stories under that are very much varied.
Sure, sure. And I think a lot of us do like genre mixing too. Like we have, I mean, I don't know if romance is like the main focus of all your books, but I talked about this with other people. We have fantasy like werewolves or monsters or whatever, and there's romance in it. And depending on how, depending on what your style is, romance may take a back seat or a front seat
I do both. I do
so
both. A
cool.
couple of my books, the romance is the focus, but most of them it's a pretty heavy subplot.
Okay. Okay, good deal. How did you get interested in writing in this genre in the first place, in fantasy specifically? Were there favorite stories that inspired you, books or movies or anything?
Kind of. My mom read me the Chronicles of Narnia when I was 3. We read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and I would wait the
Wow.
entire book for her to get to the one line that said, "Oh my goodness, I've picked up the little girl instead of the handkerchief." When Giant Weather accidentally picks up Lucy, and I just thought that was hilarious, and I would just laugh and laugh and laugh. But so I cut my teeth on fantasy pretty early before I could even read myself. But
My son is 3. Maybe I can start him on Narnia now. Yeah,
yeah, I love Narnia.
we do too. It's just I
My
didn't know.
my children have been reading through it as well. So, but I've always kind of enjoyed those fantastical worlds.
Mhm.
I've always been a big reader. Reading has always been a big part of my enjoyment, my escape, just kind of a part of me. I love reading. I love stories. So I grew up reading a lot of different books, a lot of fantasy, a lot of make believe, a lot of historicals as well, and kind of always dabbled writing. But then when we became pregnant with my oldest son, we found out there were some things wrong, and I found an escape in writing rather than reading. That's when I started really writing seriously. I've discovered I am a trauma writer. So when I can't control my own world, I create fantasy worlds in which I can control all of the outcomes. And it's very, very therapeutic for me. So that's kind of where I cut my teeth on like the books of my adulthood that actually saw publication. I wrote several others that should probably never see the light of day. But you always
Oh,
have to have those practice books as well.
okay. How old is your son now? I'm just curious.
He is 10.
Yeah, so it's been a multi-year journey for you.
Oh, yes, yes.
And is he doing better now?
He will always have struggles. He has autism as well as several other health issues, and they will always be with him, but he is doing very well.
Good.
Um, Far beyond expectation. A lot of kids with his particular condition don't survive birth. So the fact that he is now 10 years old is truly a miracle. We're very, very grateful and very blessed.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. Yeah. Okay. You said you're a big reader. I think pretty much all of us are. That's why we enjoy writing. But what are you reading currently? Anything interesting?
Currently, I'm actually reading submissions. I also own Quill and Flame Publishing
Uh,
House.
uh,
We just had our
I'll
open
be
subs
asking
in
that. Yeah,
January.
that's my question is, but yes, but sure. Tell us about that a little bit for now. Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
sure. Yeah, we just had our open subs in January, so I'm actually currently reading through those. I have a whole host of really exciting projects to read over. So that's just I can't really reveal a lot of information
sure.
about it,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm reading currently. I read Caraval over Christmas. Thoroughly enjoyed that. I'm way behind the curve, late to the party, but I really enjoyed it. It was a good book.
So am I. I just don't have time to keep up with everything. There's I say I'm a sci-fi fantasy fan, and I am, but I'm like there's so much to keep up with that I just can't be on top of it all. So
Yeah.
we're we're writing our own stuff, which is great, and hopefully putting out
Yeah.
more that more people can be fans of in the future. Okay. Are there I know you mentioned Narnia. Pretty much whenever I ask people who write fantasy, uh, which what inspired them, the two biggest answers I hear are Lewis Tolkien, of course, but
Sure. Don't tell. I'm actually not a Tolkien writing style fan.
no, that's okay. Yeah,
Love
his
the stories, get bogged down in the 3-page descriptions of a tree.
his style is very different, and it's not modern. I mean, it I think it's intentionally, from an older era. That's okay. Yeah,
Well, it was published in an older era as well.
me too.
So,
I've I've done other videos about this, so I don't want to talk about it a whole lot now. But I've had to retrain myself to appreciate that kind of thing because it's not what I go to for light escapist
yeah,
reading.
you actually have to think to read it.
Exactly. So, yeah, Lewis is different. Lewis is, I mean,
This is a little easier digestible.
it's more accessible to most people. Um, are there any particular authors then, besides Lewis, who you've like intentionally emulated or who you would compare yourself to in your writing style?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know that I have anyone that I would like compare myself to. Especially since my books are kind of so different from each other. They kind of fit into different categories. But Karen Hancock is actually another one of my very favorite authors.
Okay.
She wrote the Legends of the Guardian King series, which is actually being re-released, I believe through Enclave. And I found her series way back in college, and it's been probably my very favorite series
Very
I've ever read. And
okay.
then Brian Jacques, who wrote the Redwall books,
Yes.
I devoured those in middle school.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so I think probably a lot of my fantasy world is kind of entrenched in that a little bit, like just subconsciously. It's not ever something I set out to do intentionally to like replicate or
No,
produce or anything, but I think those are kind of, I would say those are probably the three largest fantastical influences on my writing.
great. Yeah, so many of us we have so many influences that are conscious or subconscious. We don't even know them all. But yeah, I yeah, in middle school and high school, I was a big Redwall fan. I kind of outgrew it toward the end when I realized there were the plots were very similar. But it's okay.
Yeah, I don't think I ever read like the very last one or two in the series.
Yeah,
He wrote them after I had kind of moved on.
there's two or three out that I never read, but I read most of them and I enjoy them a lot.
I reread most of them over and over.
Yeah, the other one, Karen Hancock, hadn't heard of. My wife is actually more the fantasy fan than I am, so I'll have to ask her if she knows that one. But
Absolutely. Her book Arena is a little more sci-fi. It's still
uh,
fantasy, but it's a little more sci-fi. And then her book, what is it? Is it called The Enclave? It actually deals with like the Nephilim, and things like that. It's just a really cool concept. And but I've enjoyed all of her books that I've read.
okay, great. Your your one series is about, I guess, a magical academy or like a spell learning school. So I have to ask, Harry Potter is that you a fan? Is that on your
I've
radar?
I've actually never read Harry Potter.
Really? Okay. That's
It
okay.
came
That's
out
okay.
it
Yeah.
came out when I was just kind of aging out of that age bracket, and there was a lot of controversy about it
Yeah.
everywhere really.
Yeah.
And so it was just it didn't really appeal to me in the way
Okay.
that some other books did. I did actually try to go back and read it as an adult, but I was just not it
Yeah.
was just not what I was in the mood for
I was
reading. I'm a
I
mood reader.
was as an adult because I wasn't allowed to when I was younger. And then my wife is really into it. So when we started dating, I read them. I enjoyed them for what they were, but I'm sure I would have felt differently and probably gotten more into it if I read them as a teenager. So
Sure, sure. I have had people tell me that it is similar to Harry
okay.
Potter,
Okay.
which I'm like, okay, that's great. I've never actually read it, so I can't
Yeah.
comment
Well,
intelligently
well, I
on
mean,
that,
yeah.
but it is.
Not that I thought you were like intentionally ripping someone off, but I mean,
Oh,
hey,
sure.
no one can even claim that about you because you haven't even read it.
I
So
haven't read them,
yeah,
so I don't know if there's similarities. They're totally unplanned.
yeah, yeah.
But no, Magic Prep Academy is so it actually started when I was actually in the querying trenches for first shift.
Okay.
I was attempting to build my online platform
Mhm.
because as any writer knows, if you want to be published, you need to have a platform to which you can present your information or your books and whatnot. So the going advice at the time was start a blog. I'm like,
Okay.
okay, I can start a blog. So I started doing kind of a research-based blog because I'm good at research and I like it.
Yeah.
So I started focusing on a different mythical creature every week. I would just do like, a little article about the history of kind of how it's been portrayed in literature, things like that. Um, but up until that point, I had never actually attempted to write a short story. Brevity is not generally my strong suit.
Maybe.
And so I started doing all this research and I thought, well, you know what? It might be kind of fun to just do a little short story with some of these mythological creatures. And I did. I dabbled in flash fiction for the first time ever. And to my delight, a couple of them were published in Havoc magazine. And I started thinking, it would be kind of fun to maybe do a short story every week instead of doing a blog post.
Mhm.
Excuse me. And so I started doing that. I started doing a little like short story, flash fiction, close to flash fiction story every week, but all of them were set at Magic Prep Academy, which is this magical academy where all these creatures of mythology, fantasy, paranormal creatures, they all come. It's like a boarding school,
Cool.
all of these different creatures. And it was just a lot of fun to just spend time in that world. And around that time, I think I was in between writing the third and fourth book in the Wolves of Rock Falls series. And it was gearing up time for NaNoWriMo. And for anyone who doesn't know, that's where you basically write 50,000 words in a month. And I
Okay.
thought, oh my gosh, there is no way I could write a book in a month. It took me 10 years to write First Shift. And so I looked at things and I thought, okay, well, if I could write 60,000 words, which would be basically a short first draft of a young adult novel, If I only write 1,000 words a day, I could potentially write a novel in 2 months. And
Yeah.
that sounded a lot more manageable to me. So I set out to do this, to achieve this. And lo and behold, had so much fun in the world. And I was already so familiar with the world that I wrote the first draft of A Flame and Frost within 1 month,
Nice.
in between my Wolves and Rock Falls books.
That's awesome.
I'm not sure I recommend that strategy,
Yeah.
but it taught me a lot about myself as a writer, kind of how I function, how I write best. Um, and so it was a very, very good experience.
Yeah.
And it taught me how I function best in terms of writing, quickly and efficiently. So anyway,
Okay.
there's kind of the beginnings of it.
Okay, yeah. So I know you mentioned you were doing short stories, which is why you have an anthology now of all the stories from them. Okay.
They're all the collected short stories, from the early blog posts. They're not up anymore. The only place you can find them is at Magic Prep Academy, or excuse me, in Making Magic, the anthology,
Okay.
which really was the making of Magic. It was the making of Magic Prep Academy. So Making Magic. My son actually came up with that. He's very proud of himself. I'm
Good.
quite proud of him too.
Okay. And then Flame and Frost is the one like novel length one
Hmm.
there.
Yes,
Okay.
and
I,
there will be one more novel length book set in the same world. It will be the story itself will be about how Magic Prep Academy was formed, like in the fantasy world, not my experiences. It's not autobiographical. It's a story about how Magic Prep Academy was founded. And
yeah.
so there are Easter eggs within the short stories as well as A Flame and Frost. So I'm not sure when that one will
Okay.
be releasing yet though.
And like I forget if you said this. Is it geared more young adult, new adult, kind of in the middle?
Yeah, the Magic Prep Academy world is set, really target audience is about 15.
Right. I figured.
So
I mean,
give or take either side of that.
being an academy, school kids, they usually relate to that. So
Mhm.
yeah. Okay.
Eighth, ninth, 10th grade would all probably thoroughly enjoy it.
Sometimes, yeah.
I mean, a lot of adults have enjoyed it as well because really the number one consumer of young adult fiction are middle-aged women.
Well, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, yeah. No, it's yeah. I guess it's one of those things I would enjoy. I'm sure I could appreciate it now, but I know when I was 15, I would have appreciated something like that. So yeah. Okay. Very cool. Cool. Sounds like a fun world to dive into.
It is. It is. Not that I'm at all biased.
Yeah. Well, I think you're allowed to be biased for your own stuff. Yeah.
Thanks.
We allow self-promotion here. That's why I have you on. So yeah.
Awesome.
We allow you to toot your own horn a little bit. Okay. Well, so you talked about how you're able to write novels in a short time span, and it kind of tells into my next question. Whenever I ask anyone else, well, usually when I ask what's the hardest part of the writing process, people say finding the time. And I
Time
mean,
is definitely hard,
mhm,
especially I have more going on now, so time is
sure,
definitely harder to
sure,
come by. So my books don't get written in a month
right,
anymore.
right.
Um,
You have a family and kids. I mean, I think you have more than just your one son, right? You have
I do. I have 3 children, and we
uh,
homeschool,
yeah,
so we're
and
we're
homeschool.
we're very busy.
You also have publishing. You also have your publishing company,
I
um,
do.
and somewhere in there you're writing books. So
I try.
yeah. What's your secret? How do you do it all? I was gonna make a Harry Potter reference, and I realized you wouldn't get it.
Well, you're welcome to make it. I just might not
Oh,
catch
oh,
it.
I was like, do you have a time turner? Because they use like this time turner device to turn back time and do
Well,
extra
if
things.
you have any of those or there's a market for them, please direct me. I would love to
Yeah,
get
I haven't seemed to find one in real life, but
one.
anyway, how do you
Kidding.
do it all, AJ?
Well, it's just kind of a juggling act, and some days it doesn't get all done, but I'm a huge fan of lists. I have lists upon lists upon lists, and the most important things get done. So writing doesn't necessarily happen every day.
Mhm.
I would like for it to, but I'm actually one of my goals I'm working towards this year is finding a little bit better balance for myself. Because like running a publishing house, writing your own books, marketing your books, that's all it never ends. There's always, always, always work to do. So I'm trying to find a little bit better balance because it is very overwhelming to do all of the things. Plus, we homeschool. So my children are always with me. We do have to do schooling, and because that's important too. And we have a lot of doctor visits for my son. So our schedule is not always super, super predictable as well. Um, so I do try to carve out time just for myself. And I'm also trying to actually encourage myself to watch just a little more TV to give my brain a rest.
Yeah,
So balance is always a juggling act as well. But yeah, it's just kind of you prioritize the things that have to get done, and then you you fill in your own stuff too, but you also have to writing has to be a priority if it's going to get done. So there
Okay.
are times where it's like, okay, I have 2 hours. I'm spending these 2 hours on my books because I need to do that for myself as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's a matter of figuring out what your priorities are for each day, and then
Mm-hmm. And allotting the time you have to those priorities.
yeah. And it sounds like I don't know if you have like a new book in the works every time, like or if you go kind of in cycles, like do
There
you?
are always books in the work. I have a book out on sub right now. I have one coming out in July. I'm in process of writing the rest of a trilogy. I have other ideas. I have a contemporary young adult murder mystery I am dying to write, but I'm like, no,
Okay,
can't. I have to write two other books before I can get to
okay,
that one too.
so, so writing isn't just a cyclical thing. It's pretty constant for you.
Oh, it's a constant thing. There are always stories like
That's good. Yeah, no,
marinating, formulating.
I always have ideas. I just can't get to them all right away. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
that, that's good how you're doing that. No, so okay, yeah, it's but that no, it sounds like you're very intentional and organized. I mean, lists are helpful.
Parts of my life are.
Yeah. Awesome.
Oh, that all of them were.
Better than nothing, I'd say. Yeah. So, and I mean, somehow you've pulled it off. Or
So far.
or yeah, but I mean, you published what, six-ish books so far of your own. Um,
So,
I
like
guess
7 or 8, depending if you count the novella.
right. Okay. Yeah. In the past, what do you say, 10 years or so?
Well, I've only been published not quite 3 years.
Oh
Um,
wow. So
yeah, first shift released in March, 3 years ago this March.
that's right. You
Uh,
said that.
so my
Yeah.
books, I've had a lot of books come out in a short amount of time. I've had like 3 books a year.
You would spend time writing them in advance, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. So like first shift, I had written it took me about 10 years to get it written because I wasn't writing every day. We were in the middle of having children and I was
Sure.
working at the time and
Yeah.
it was just a really, really crazy season of life. But I had spent a lot of that time writing off and on. But in addition to writing first shift, I had also dabbled writing parts of books 2 and 3. So it wasn't like I was completely starting from scratch. I had book 2 completely finished by the time first shift released. So I was
Okay.
always like a book ahead.
Hmm.
And I had written the 4 werewolf novels in addition to A Flame and Frost. Um, I believe by the time the third book released,
Okay.
Sworn Shift. So I was always kind of a book ahead, which makes me happy. I was the nerd in college who wrote my like honors research paper the summer before I had the class, because I could, and it was like one less thing that I could do,
Yeah.
or one more thing I could do to make my life less stressful
Sure,
when
sure.
the semester started. So working ahead makes me happy. Time management is like my one superpower.
Okay.
Um, so I feel if I can manage my time well, I can manage a lot of the other things
Yeah,
well.
yeah. That's a superpower not everyone has, so that's awesome. And that'll take you far. So, and again, I mean, you've done it so far. The past 3 years or whatever, at least you're writing, publishing, raising kids, and doing all that stuff still.
Many,
So,
many things.
it seems like so. I mean, just the fact that you have your books out, we're able to see it can be done. So that's
It
awesome.
can be done. It's a little stressful to be done, but it can be
Sure.
done.
That's why you need rest too, like we are talking about. Yeah,
Yes, rest is very
I
important, which
encourage that. I
I
mean,
am trying to be more intentional about forcing myself to rest because
yeah.
there's always something to be
No, I get
done,
it.
you
Even
know.
me, I'm on a journey myself. I'm trying to publish I'm trying to revise when I was going to publish and trying to, like promote myself and stuff like that.
It's
And
hard. Marketing itself is a
yeah,
full-time job, let alone like the writing of the books and
and
the,
I
self-publishing. That's another huge chunk of time. And even if you're not, if your book goes to an editor, you still have all those edits you have to
get
work
away.
through. And
And
it's a
and I have a day job and stuff like that. So, and I blog. So I'm like, yeah, I'm
it's
like,
intense.
in my free time, I'm like, there's always something I could be working on. Or there's always, yeah. So
Absolutely.
I get it. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Props to you for overcoming and persevering through all that.
Thank
Okay.
you.
How about when it comes to, yeah, you're welcome. How about when it comes to the actual process of writing or editing, like the actual craft of writing, what's the biggest challenge for you or a struggle for you? Like, what's the hardest part of the process for your stories?
Sure. The first draft, just getting the story out of my head onto the paper,
Yeah.
is always the hardest part for me. Editing is not, I don't find editing difficult.
Okay.
Um, I was an English teacher for many, many years before we had kids and did all the other things. So it's I kind of swap sides of my brain. I'm primarily creative, but it's sometimes it's a relief to just swap to the other side of my brain. It's like, okay, let's turn on the analysis part
Yeah.
and let's just read through this. And then obviously if you're, everyone should always have another editor looking over their things. So it does not take me long to go through edits when I get them back
Yeah, I also
from my
taught for
editors.
a couple of years, and now my day job is writing for a nonprofit. So
Oh, nice.
yes, it's cool. I mean, it's not creative in writing per se, but it's still getting paid for writing, so I like
Sure.
it. And but yeah, I get that slipping this out of the brain because I've said that to myself too. I'm tired. I just want to use my editing brain right now and not my
Yeah.
creative brain. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
that's
and
that's
in a sense, it's almost like it using the left half fills the creative parts of the right half. It allows that side to rest while you engage the other half, letting the other, it's a cycle. Maybe it's just my brain, but
no,
but yeah, getting the draft out is always the hardest part for me. I'm not a pantster, but I'm not a complete plotter either. I plot out my main points,
yeah,
but then I pants my way from point to point. And occasionally things take an unexpected turn.
yep,
Um,
I get that.
but knowing where I'm going does help me streamline. Um, I'm also one of those writers who I basically see a movie reel of the scene in my head, and that's what I write. So if I'm having trouble envisioning a scene, um, it's a struggle for me to write it. So yeah,
Yeah,
the first draft is always the hardest part.
getting your ideas out there. Okay. Yeah, thanks for sharing. We do have some questions in the chat. Vanessa asks, where do you get your inspiration from?
That's a
Big
great
question now.
question. Um, my debut book, First Shift, was actually inspired by pregnancy dreams. And I had pepperoni pizza a couple of times and had some wild, vivid dreams after eating. So I suppose we could really thank, the Italian pie for the werewolf stories. So I did a lot of the writing of like the concept of the book based on some of those dreams. Also, a huge influence in that were my students. I was a high school English teacher in another life now, but I was teaching, here I go dating myself, right at the height of the Twilight craze.
Okay.
Like I think my first year teaching is when the second Twilight book released.
Okay.
So Twilight mania was like sweeping through everything.
Yep.
And I had really great students. I really, really did. But I had about 5 or 6 of them, a little group of them that started a rumor that I was a werewolf. It stuck. Like I actually had students come in the next year and say, "Are you really a werewolf?" And I
It's
mean, there's only one way to answer teenagers who ask if you are a werewolf. Of
yeah.
course, I'm a werewolf.
Mhm.
And so we had like creative writing prompts with that. We just had all kinds of fun with it. But a lot of that kind of influenced how I wrote and formulated the book. I kind of wrote the book for them because a lot of my students were really into the whole world of the paranormal, vampire, werewolf, things like that. But at that time, there really wasn't anything else for them to read that I would have classified as clean enough for them to read. There were other things, but they were things that teenagers should not be reading.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I get
that heavily influenced my writing of
oh,
the
it
Wolf
has
of Rockfall series
been
as well.
controversial for many too. Yeah. And I mean, Twilight itself has been controversial for many. So
For
yeah.
sure, for sure. But in terms of like the romantic content, it hits your PG-13 level across the board of all the books and whatnot. And there were R-rated books my students could read, but there were not cleaner paranormal fiction with romance for high schoolers really at that point. Twilight was kind of the big first in its
Okay.
series or in the genre, really, I guess.
It opened up that gate, but then you were like, hey, let's give them something else they can
For
read.
sure.
That's good. I like that. Seeing a need and trying to fill it. So
Yeah.
and trying to put more
I wanted
positive.
my students to have something they could enjoy that would be safe for them to read that would also have, underlying messages about healthy romance because not only was there not a lot of that genre, but it was a huge thing at that time to have like these toxic relationships were really glorified kind of in that era of
It's
young
not a
adult
the,
fantasy.
the dark bad boy figure, whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that's not really how life works. So I wanted my books to be something that they would enjoy reading. They have romance. My werewolf books are much more romance heavy and romance forward than A Flame and Frost is. But it was healthy romance. The whole theme of First Shift is that love is a choice. And because it was just a message that was not being shared. And it was there was just a lot of toxicity in young adult literature at that time. So I wanted there to be another option. So I wrote one.
Yeah, great. Thank you for putting out more content that is healthy and appropriate for teens because they're gonna need that.
Well, I
Yeah,
try to.
yeah. So yeah, no, I support that decision. Yeah, I never actually read Twilight, but I was part of the create it became popular to hate it when the movies were coming out, and so I just kind of jumped on that bandwagon too because so
Well, I
because
read it because a lot of my students were reading it, including my students who were like reluctant reader students.
yeah,
They were reading. I'm like, okay, I
that's
need to know
that's a
this
good
is
reason.
becoming part of culture. I need to know
Yeah,
what is going on with
that
this.
is a good reason. So I can yeah I can support that.
I was
So
entrenched in it.
yeah, yeah, I get it. I wasn't a teacher yet when that came out. I don't know date myself, and I was like in college, but yeah, or well high school or college anyway. Yeah. But okay. So thanks for sharing. That's cool how you wanted to do that. Just Sarah put in the chat, kind of commenting on or on a previous topic of ours. Editors can save you from some hairy
I know
situations.
what Sarah that is. That's the Sarah that caught my one of my greatest editing faux pas there. I actually have in one line of my book, I think it's Sworn Shift. I have the line is supposed to be he cut off his air supply, but I had a typo and it said cut off his hair supply. And fortunately she caught that before
It's awesome. Okay.
before it went anywhere. But we still laugh about that because yes, editors do save writers from very hairy situations. Shout
I
out
was
to there.
I think it was just hairy as in werewolves, like a pun like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was totally appropriate for the context.
Yeah. It kind of makes sense.
Long flowing werewolf locks, you know.
Yeah, yeah, but cut them off. I don't know what that works like. Yeah, she says it with Rogue Shift. So thank you, Sarah, and all editors out there for helping. And I still, I find typos in published books now that I read, and I'm just like, really? And I mean, I know we all make mistakes, but it's surprising to me how many are out there. But
Yeah, well, even your big five books, there's a much smaller chance you're going to find typos, but I have found typos in many, many, many books. I mean, human error. We just do the best we can. So,
there you go. Okay, then what's you told us some of your biggest struggles. What's your biggest strength in writing, or what's the thing that your stories do really well, you think?
I write really good kissing scenes.
Say more. Hey, we just had Valentine's Day. We can talk about that. Yeah.
Well, all of my books have romance in them. Like
Right.
all Quill and Flame publishes is romance at a PG-13 level or higher, at a young adult or new adult target audience. Again, because you have both extremes, but you have no middle ground. You have your smut and you have your really conservative books, and both of those have floods of books in the market, but there really are not a lot of really like clean romance middle ground options, and it's sad because that's what I like to read. And I feel like there's never enough healthy romance. So that's one thing that Quill and Flame really focuses on, but that's something that my books focus on as well. But I do really enjoy a good kissing book. I don't really want more details than the kissing. The door should shut
Yep.
quickly
Yep.
thereafter if
I'm with
it
you.
goes any farther than that. But yeah, I do feel like I do romance well. I feel like I do world building decently well as in addition to that, I like building worlds in my head, and then I'm also a rule follower. So like if I have rules to the worlds, it kind of helps me plot the story within the world. Like the Wolves of Rock Falls, like I have a complete like subgenre of society mapped out, like how the werewolf world works and how it functions within our society, and it's stuff like
Cool.
that. So I enjoy it, and I hope that really comes through in my books,
Great. Yeah, world building is an essential skill. It's not one of
especially for fantasy.
yeah, it's not one that I'm the best at, but I've had conversations about that with other people, so other writers, including my wife, who's really good at that. So yeah,
Nice.
okay, okay, great. Can you offer any, excuse me, any writing tips or advice to other authors that maybe most people overlook or don't know?
Well, I think something that I have, something that was really helpful to me along the way is that all the magic happens in the edits. You can't
Mhm.
edit what you don't write. Just slop the story on the paper, and then you can go back and make it nice.
That's kind of the
Uh,
point of
I
NaNoWriMo and
think
stuff like that. Yeah, is
Yeah,
get
I feel like a lot of people get really hung up on like the perfectionistic details or, oh, this isn't perfect, so I have to stop and do this until it's just right. Well, if you do that, you'll never write your book. Write
right.
your book, then you attack it with edits, and then you send it to, a reputable editor, someone who is going to be able to um help you with those parts that need more finessing or that you can't quite get there yourself.
Mhm.
Like I've written many, many books, and for sure I would not dare to publish any of them without my editor.
Yeah, yeah. My editors help me a lot with editors and or beta readers with
Yeah.
just
Oh, beta readers are huge. You should
yeah.
definitely have a good beta reader is worth their weight in gold.
Just I've cut down so much that was previously way my level down and it's a lot better than it was. So yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Yeah, but yeah, we've all heard the advice about crappy first drafts, except sometimes I don't say crappy, but yeah, it's
First drafts should look like the wrong end of a dog. That's
right.
just how
Yeah,
first drafts are.
yeah. I had a professor in college say, I mean, even for an academic paper, but he was like, the first draft is the length of the funnel, poorly written. And I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah, you
Hmm.
want to get content out there, but doesn't have to be great. So,
Yep,
there
absolutely.
okay, yeah, good deal. No, I'm sure we've all, most of us have heard that before, but it's good reminders that, yeah, yeah, get something out there. Yeah, I mean, do the writing, and then the cleaning up is another step, but gotta do the writing first.
I mean, the
True.
cleaning is not usually easy either, but
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't clean what you don't have.
right. Oh yeah, I've been working
There's
on
no mess written, you can't clean it up.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. And writing is messy. So
Yes, it is.
very much so. Okay. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, we're getting some good conversation with both with us and with those watching at home in the chat. So if you're watching, I mean we're not ending yet, but I just wanted to remind you, put your questions in the chat. Hopefully we can ask them in the next little while. I want to shift gears a little bit and ask you. We touch on this, but you are also the CEO of Quill and Flame Publishing. So how did you get involved in that? Like, is this your company that you began, and kind of what does that entail? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, it is. It wasn't really ever my ambition to set out to open a publishing house.
Mhm.
But as I kind of alluded to earlier, there is a huge gap in the industry. You have all of your Christian fiction. Not that I am not in any way knocking Christian fiction because I love Christian fiction, but like it tends to be
Some of it
isolated at an
you know,
extreme.
yeah.
But then you also have your smut, which personally I don't read, but it's, wildly popular. But you have both ends of these extremes, but there is very, very little in terms of romance in the middle. There is nothing in the gap. So, also being a former high school English teacher, having young adult literature that I felt comfortable recommending to my students was huge for me. That was just very, very important. And it was kind of difficult to find romance that was young adult appropriate. Um, so that is what Quill and Flame publishes. We publish young adult and new adult romance at a PG-13 level or cleaner. And as of this summer, we will have 25 books released.
Awesome.
So we are moving, and I mean several of our books are, finalists for some awards. We have a couple award winners. We have people are listening. People want this middle ground. They
Yeah,
want clean romance that they can hand to their kids, that they can hand to their friends, that doesn't have we take kind of our unofficial tagline is romantic fiction that takes, or excuse me, secular fiction that takes the moral high road, because we do want healthy relationships, we want healthy romance, we want all of these things showcased that you just don't find a lot in secular literature. um so that's kind of the heart behind and where we come from in terms of what we publish.
okay. Is it like is a lot of it fantasy too, or like just any
We
genre of
publish
romance?
Yeah, we publish any genre. We are a little fantasy heavy.
Sure.
We do love fantasy, and fantasy is extremely popular. Romantasy right now is just massive in the market.
Oh yeah.
But
Love
we
that.
also have, yeah, we have contemporary, we have non-magic, we have fairy tales, we have We have Asian inspired coming out next month. We've
Okay.
got dragons. We will have murder mysteries. I mean, we have a lot of really cool things. We've got some dystopian. Um, we will look at just about every genre within that
Within it.
broad guideline.
Okay. Okay. And your duties for that, I mean, you being the CEO, you have to review a lot of submissions. You were talking about that earlier, and that's one more thing on your plate, right? It's kind of
It is.
managing that and then I guess publishing, like
I mean, I do have a really good team in place, I feel. A team sort of culture is very, very important at Quill and Flame. We blacklist people who aren't nice. Like I won't publish people who have who just don't have that team quality about them because we don't want people who are just there for the glory of it. We want people who really do have kind of a passion to bring the sort of literature into the hands of readers. Um, so a team culture is very, very important. We really do have an amazing team that works with Quill and Flame, and we would not be nearly as successful without all of those moving parts. So
mhm,
it is a lot of management. I work very hard.
sure.
I do a lot of the work myself. I don't edit because I can edit, but it's not my favorite. So, we have a team of editors, we have cover designers and things like that. So yeah, I couldn't do it all without the team.
Good. Yeah. I mean, we all have help and we all need help. That's great. So then did you kind of make that like as you were writing your books and then you published your books through your company or
No, actually, my Wolves of Rock Falls series are published through the Wild Rose Press. They picked those up and they published the series. Quill and Flame kind of came to be towards the end of when Pack Shift, which is the last Wolves of Rock Falls book, was coming out. It was just kind of I felt this burden for this particular area of literature. And I started looking at all of the things, obviously I knew about the publishing process because I had gone through it already multiple times with my own publisher. And but thought, you know what, I think I could do this. I think I could reasonably do this. I've been entrenched in the book world for years and years and years and years, so I started researching more of the business side of things. Um, Gosh, this was several years ago at
yeah,
this point because once again time management, so I do all of the work ahead of time, and then when we officially opened we didn't produce things for almost a year because we were putting things into production. It takes a long
sure.
time to get a book through all of the stages, and if you want to send out for endorsements or if you want to build a launch team, all of these things take time. um so it was a couple of years in production before we actually released
Okay.
um books.
Okay. Yeah. Takes time to get off the ground, I'm sure.
It does. I mean, we're still new, but I
Yeah.
think I'm very pleased with what we're doing right now.
Good. That's awesome. I mean, you got to start somewhere. I mean, whether you're an author or a publisher or whatever,
Yep, absolutely.
most. I mean, most of the time we don't hit it big overnight on the first try. It just takes time. What was I gonna ask? Or is it okay? So you publish your books, first through another publisher, but have you always done traditional publishing then?
Well, no. So the Wolves of Rock Falls came out with another publisher. A Flame and Frost and Making Magic are actually through Quill and Flame. I like to put my money where my mouth is.
Yep. Yep.
If it's good enough for other people to publish, it had better be good enough for my own books too. But I also I do a lot of practice I did a lot of practice on Making Magic and A Flame and Frost, making sure I had all parts of the process down, making sure that everything was as it was supposed to be. Because I didn't want to mess up somebody else's book. I'd much rather mess up my own. Um, so yeah, so in some senses they were practice for Quill and Flame.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so they were very pivotal books, both for me as a writer and as a publisher.
Okay. Okay. Cool. It sounds like, I mean, you've done a lot in the past 3 to 10 years. I know all of us are on the journey. We're not like nationally known bestsellers yet, but I mean, you're making some good strides. It seems
Well,
like.
some of our authors are. We have a couple USA Today and New York Times bestsellers in the Quill and Flame lineup.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Who
Yeah.
are?
Carrie Corp just released Shades of Neverland.
Okay.
Gorgeous retelling. Well, it's not actually a retelling, it's like a continuation of the Peter Pan story. highly recommend. And then Lori Langdon, who writes for Disney. She has a whole strain of Disney books out. Actually, she and Carrie have the Dune series. Is they co-wrote that a couple of years
Really?
ago. But Lori has a Christmas novella coming out with us
Cool.
this
Okay.
December, I believe.
Well, that's
So
cool.
we've got so much cool stuff coming down the pike. We're just
I mean,
super thrilled with where things
yeah,
are going. And then
I mean,
Chelsea Bobulski also has one coming out this fall, and Marissa Meyer just endorsed another one of our books, and so we're just really delighted with where things are going.
so it just kind of underscores that like when you take opportunities you have and people will start noticing. And again, usually it's not overnight or whatever. I mean, we all want to submit that first novel and then we could become a millionaire, and that's not really how it works.
Not
But
usually feasible. It's a great dream, but
yeah, yeah,
most authors don't make their millions in their writing.
yeah, but I mean that's still you're getting noticed and getting some big names, and you're doing good things, so that's awesome. Um, where are your books available? Is it just like online, or have they been in bookstores or anything?
Some of our books are in bookstores scattered around.
Yeah.
They're basically available wherever books are sold.
And
Um,
that's for either Quill and Flame or your books personally. Yeah.
yes, yes. You can have our books ordered into any bookstore if they're not there. So, if you go into your local bookstore and you're like, "Hey, do you happen to have this book?" No, not so much. Okay, great. Can you order it in? Any bookstore should be able to order any of our books or my books
Yeah.
in.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I've been trying to I want like I started I started requesting like my friends' books for our library just
Oh, yes. Requesting books at your local library is wonderful for all parties involved.
so
We
yeah.
have several books on audio as well that can be
Yeah.
requested through your library.
Cool. And it sounds like yeah, so it sounds like people are trying to know what they are and all that stuff. So awesome.
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for sharing about that. That's cool.
Sure.
So yeah, it's yeah, it's cool to hear how just kind of the journey you're on and the things you're doing that are getting noticed and hopefully starting to make a difference. Um, what have you done, or what are you doing for self promotion, like engaging the audience, but building your audience as an author? How it we mentioned earlier, marketing is a full-time job. How's
It
that come?
really is.
Yeah.
Well, I was actually exceedingly fortunate. I'm going to totally name drop here. Karen Sargent, who is also another traditionally published author, she used to be one of my coworkers when I was still teaching high school English at the same place that influenced a lot of my werewolf books. In fact, several of those students' names pop up in the werewolf books. I named characters after them, but she was published a couple of years before I was ready to query First Shift. And I said, "Hey, Karen, I wrote this book." And she's like, "Here is what you need to do." I really do credit a lot of my marketing success to Karen Sargent. Shameless plug, go check out her books. But she had also become a professional book launcher within that time. So she exceedingly graciously helped me launch First Shift. And I learned so much about marketing. From her, and I've just kind of built on that kind of base that she laid there. But the whole thing really comes down to people can't buy what they don't know exists. You
Yeah.
have to get your book in front of people, and the
Right.
right people, because the wrong readers aren't going to like your book.
Yeah.
So you have to find your target audience. You have to go where your audience is. you know um at book ads and things like that are super helpful. I actually love mybookcave.com. They actually have ratings for all their books. I highly recommend them. I've done BookBub. I had a feature deal a while back for a Flame and Frost. That was super exciting. So getting your books in front of people, I think, is, I mean, it's the heart of marketing, and it's also the hardest part of marketing. So a lot of things, I do run ads on occasion to try to reach new audiences. But I'm very active on social media. I love connecting with readers. Other authors, people that like the same things that I like. I'm in a couple of groups and we just talk book and all of the things, just doing like promos for newsletter builders, building your newsletter list and your email list, whatever you want to call it, subscriber list, whatever the term is we're using these days.
Yeah.
Just all of those different things to network with readers, with authors, with other people. I really genuinely enjoy doing that. It is time consuming, but I do enjoy it.
Yep. Yep.
So
And
yeah,
I'm,
that's some
I'm
of the
remembering
things.
your social media presence. What social media are you on? I know you're on Facebook.
Readers of AJ Skelly on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Instagram the most. A.J.Skelly.
Okay,
A.J.Skelly, yes. And then Quill and Flame is also on Instagram as well. That's
cool.
where we're most active. I probably could do a couple of other social media things, but again, my time is at a premium.
Get it.
Um, and so those are the ones that I'm most comfortable and most enjoy using. So that's kind of where I've parked for now.
Yeah, okay.
And then obviously I have a newsletter as well, and I do send out exclusive information. I also run an Etsy shop. My personal shop is Books and Whimsy. I send out like coupon codes and exclusive sales and stuff to subscribers now. And then I've got bookish merch. We've got tea, we've got coffee, we've got jewelry, we've got bookmarks, we've got signed books. We have all kinds of just bookish fun things. So,
Wow,
other shameless plug to go sign up for my newsletter.
cool. Yeah, yeah. Always want to give the authors give you a chance to promote yourself on here again. So, you touched on this earlier, but at least one thing. But can you tell us what you have in the works now or for the future? I know you said you have lots of ideas for the far future, but like, what is currently being worked on and might be released in the next little while?
Yeah, absolutely. I currently have a Gilded Age gas lamp story on sub. It's being seriously looked at by a publisher I very much admire.
Okay.
So that's kind of going on. We're in the waiting process, which there's a lot of waiting involved in bookish things.
Mhm.
But I do have another murder mystery novella, also Gilded Age, takes place in 1895. This is the first non-magical, non-fantastical story I've ever written. There are no fantasy elements at all, but it's basically Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None meets The Gilded Age. It's a closed loop mystery, excuse me, with a dash of romance because I don't write books without romance. And it takes place at a holiday. So it's going to be kind of like a little Christmas in July. It will release in July with Quill and Flame. And I'm really, really excited about this story. It was a lot of fun to write. It was an unexpected story. It was one of those things that just kind of hit. I actually saw an image, and then this just like story just kind of started unraveling in my brain, and I actually kind of stress wrote it over Christmas. We all got sick, so all of our holiday plans got changed. They all got canceled. So I stress wrote a murder mystery novella over Christmas.
As one does. Yeah.
So yeah, but it's coming in
Okay.
July, and I'm really excited about it.
The novella is coming in July. Okay. Okay.
Novella is coming in July.
Okay. That's not so far away. It's like 5 months or whatever.
I know it's not all that far out. In fact, I've got the last little bit of my edits that I'm going to finish up today, and it'll be good stuff.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. Well, it sounds like you've got a lot on your plate, but you're not slowing down anytime soon. You're still working on it and still releasing stuff and just keeping it going. So that's great. Thanks for coming
Absolutely.
today and sharing a little bit of your world with us. So
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure.
welcome. I know you said a minute ago, but tell us again, where can people find you online? And your website is just your name, right?
Yep, ajskelly.com.
.com.
Yep.
Then there's Facebook and Instagram are the main places. And
Yep. You should be able to look up AJ Skelly on Facebook or Instagram, and I should pop up pretty quick.
if not, type in.
So, or you could type in hashtag Wolves of Rock Falls. That'll bring me up too.
Okay, okay, very good. Yeah, so everyone go follow AJ, check out her work, buy a book or something like that because
Please do. Actually, I think Lost Shift and A Flame and Frost are both 99 cents right now, and half of the Wolves of Rock Falls series are also 99 cents.
so like on Kindle or
Yes,
okay,
yes. Actually, I believe everywhere. So whatever your favorite online bookseller is, they should be 99 cents right there right now. Flame and Frost is also an audiobook. You can find it at all your major retailers as well,
cool. Okay.
including Audible. Go use your credits.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Thanks for sharing. And
Awesome. Thank you.
thanks everyone for watching today. Um, as I said, go check out AJ's site, ajskelly.com, and her on social media. You can also like my page here, Samuel N. Harris, for future discussions and content for writers, or sign up for my mailing list at the page, the link in the event page. When you sign up, you'll get a free sample of my book, Fractured Heroes, and a few of my favorite scenes that I think you'll enjoy. And of course, go check out AJ's work too. Anything else you want to say for people at home?
Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I love to chat with people. Please feel free to email me, reach out on social media. I'm always happy to
Yeah.
chat.
she's not scary. I've messaged her. It's
I
fine.
don't bite too hard.
Yeah, she's
Only
actually
only a chance of turning werewolf if you know it's a full moon.
yeah she's
Be
actually
biting.
hate to dispel any rumors, but she's actually not a werewolf. Well, I don't
Well,
know.
that's what you think.
I assume. Yeah,
Well,
anyway.
you know what assuming does.
That's good. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It's been
Being
fun.
here. Thanks for everyone watching today. Have a great weekend and keep writing. Okay, bye.